everybody. Welcome to the CommuniCast. This is our episode 5, I think. But it doesn't really matter because this is the special Skyrim episode that we've been waiting to do because we can't stop talking about Skyrim. I'm here with our special guest Nasrin and our other host Daystar. Say hello, guys.
Oh, well, am I not special enough to be fine?
No way.
Hello.
Nasrin is the community manager of the Escapist, as many people know, or should know.
Shouldn't, or else.
I mean, I think at this point her cat is probably more popular on the website, though.
My real cat or my cat in Skyrim is the real question.
Oh.
I was actually thinking about that the other day. I was thinking, I bet Nasrin has a Khajiit called Bobber.
No, her name is Momo. Just because I felt like it would be weird to call my cat.
It's like with the way the Khajiit naming conventions work out. I was thinking of ways you could like name the Khajiit Boba Fett without it just without it looking out of place. So it'd be like have a couple of apostrophes in there and.
I loved it. I love throwing the apostrophes in there. It's trying to figure out it's like the double consonant thing going on.
It's high fantasy 101 is just, if you can't think of any original names, just think of something that already exists and throw a few apostrophes in there.
I don't even try to conform.
Yeah, and I was going to say...
I don't conform.
Nasrin's first name in real life is kind of Khajiit-like, in my opinion.
That's true, I do have an apostrophe.
Damn, I wish I had an apostrophe.
And...
I know, right?
That's what all the cool kids have got.
In fact, Nasrin is also my real name.
Yeah, it's your last name, right? I think, or maybe middle name or something.
No, actually, it is my middle name. My full name is Maida Nasrin Lashani. That's
a lot cooler sounding than my horribly generic Irish Catholic name.
Fappy?
Yes. How'd you know?
Fappy. Fappy is a traditional Irish Catholic name.
Have you guys never heard of Saint Fappy?
No.
I love that
Patron
guy.
saint
I know,
of,
he's the greatest.
Repressed fantasies or something.
Something like that.
Patron saint of sinful.
Anyway, to the question list.
Actually, I was going to start off by saying, so this is a special episode about Skyrim and everything, and there's one thing about Elder Scrolls games in general, not just Skyrim, that kind of... It brings out a very, it brings to light something that is kind of downplayed, and when people think about and talk about video games, because everybody plays games differently. They have a different way of approaching things. I mean, like, some people take, like, the flute in Mario 3 in certain parts of the game. Like, everybody has their own formula for playing certain games and everything, but because Elder Scrolls games are so wide open and you can do so many different things, and that's the whole point, if you talk to somebody else who plays the game, you might think to yourself sometimes, oh, wow, you're doing it wrong. Like, what the hell? What? That's not what I do. And I think the Elder Scrolls games are definitely probably the epitome of being able to do whatever the fuck you want, basically. And I was just wondering, like, what your guys' opinions on that are. Like, for me, I like playing a lot of different characters, right? And I'll level them up to a certain point where I don't think it's fun anymore, or I've done everything I wanted to do. And then I'll, just retire them and start a new one. Whereas I assume, I have the feeling that Nasrin, like, you seem to stick to one character, right?
Yeah, I mean, I want to have everything, and I want to be the best. I guess that's sort of, like, my angle in playing an RPG. And so it's sort of like, it benefits you to stick with one character if that's your mindset. But I totally agree with you. There's such wildly divergent ways to approach the game. I remember... I got it at the same time as my boyfriend at the time, and he was making me so angry because he spent his first 25 levels, I kid you not, killing deer and just random bandits in the forest and refusing to start any quests because he felt like that wouldn't be an authentic beginning.
Oh, man. That would piss me off, too.
Right, like, I'm just watching this, and I'm like, you mean you haven't done anything yet? You haven't talked to, like, any townspeople? And he's like, nah, man, I'm just, like, hunting deer in the forest, and these other people are messing with me, so then I'm gonna kill them. But, I mean, I don't really have any like reason to go into the city yet. And you're just like, I'm just baffled by this. But he's right too. If you're like role playing an origin story of being a peasant, it makes sense that you don't just like suddenly run and start questing.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Definitely.
The way you said it, it made it sound like he doesn't. It's like he sort of started playing Skyrim, but actually had no idea what the game was about. So you sort
He thinks he's playing
like
like a hunting simulator.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it looked like. I ended up buying him Dishonored because I felt like that seemed like the kind of people that would play Skyrim that way in like ultra stealth roleplay mode would enjoy Dishonored,
Yeah.
which kind of makes me think that's why they made it, because so many people liked playing that way.
Yeah, I actually just started playing it. I got it during the Steam sale, and I'm probably like 1/4 the way through or something. And it's pretty good so
game,
far.
Dishonored. It's a really good game.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
I'm doing the good guy sneaky playthrough right now.
Yeah. I think the biggest complaint with that, which is a lot of people have, is that it sort of it comes up with all these imaginative ways of playing the game, but it sort of punishes you for using those ways. But we'll not get into that because this is the Skyrim cast, not the Dishonored cast.
And the thing about Skyrim is there are very few places where, as long as you're sticking to something that makes sense, you're not really going to get punished for, like, I'm sneaky, I'm going to go do sneaky stuff. And the only time it'll ever be a problem is if you're like, fighting a dragon, which in actually some cases people have found a way around that. Like I've done sneak attack backstabs on dragons before.
I mean, you
It's
can also
tough, but
you can just let your companion kill the dragon as well, because they can't die unless you kill them. So you could just go hide behind a bush and literally just wait until your companion slowly over time kills this dragon by themselves.
So that's one thing I've never actually done. I never take companions with me in Skyrim. I never use them. I don't know. I feel like they sort of ruin the game for me. And like
I take them early
don't like
on,
having someone
but
tagging along. I like just exploring the world on my own. I don't like having someone tagging along, dropping random ass taglines.
Yeah, but you can dress them up in all
Yeah.
kinds of cute outfits that you wouldn't want to wear yourself.
Really? Oh my god.
Actually, before I actually go into this, I just want to say, for anybody who's listening, we're going to talk about spoilers because this game's been out for a year. But like in
This might end up getting
Dragonborn,
spoiled for me. I haven't even completed it yet.
yeah, that's well, yeah. Daystar,
don't
have you
mind,
played
I just
Dragonborn
want-
at all yet?
No, I haven't. No,
Do you
I haven't
mo-
played it, no.
Do you mind having a minor quest reward ruined for you?
That's fine. Yeah, go for it.
Okay,
I don't mind.
so
I don't mind it. I really don't mind about spoilers for it. To be honest, I don't really play Elder Scrolls for the story so much. In the
yeah,
sense
I mean
of-
they're
it's
not
like The
even
Walking
they're not
Dead.
even story spoilers anyway.
Yeah.
But I my most recent character is this Khajiit sneaky mage, and I like to describe him as a Dwemer scholar / archaeologist, and he's pretty crazy. And in Dragonborn, no,
Like a dark
that'd be
Jones.
fun. Where would you put the apostrophe in indie?
It would be Indiana, wouldn't it? So it'd be like in D and then like apostrophe Dana or something like that.
Well, I'm glad I didn't do that. No offense, Daystar. Anyway, so there is there's this Dwemer ruin in the middle of Solstheim, and it's kind of like it's a cool dungeon because you go through it at different points where you collect these little crystals and you can gain access farther into the dungeon. And unless you get them all before you go there, usually you'll have to come back later. And when you're about halfway through,
I did that. It was kind of anticlimactic.
yeah, the ending is kind of lame, but the quest reward, like in the middle, the Dwemer Sphere, my guy, roleplay-wise, creamed his pants because he has a freaking Dwemer Sphere as a pet. And so for the first, yeah, I was like probably mid-20s when I got it, and I kept him with me until like level 40 or something, and at that point I was like, all right, I've had enough. You've blocked too many doorways and you constantly make freaking steam noises every time you come near me, and it just drove me insane and I had to dismiss him.
Where did you pick it
It was
up?
very
It's
sad.
really weird. It's really weird because for Skyrim, I don't like companions in Skyrim, but I have no problem having companions in like Fallout New Vegas, and it's essentially the same kind of game. I don't know what it is about Skyrim that makes me just not want to drag people around. It's weird.
They're kind of suicidal sometimes, but Nas, you were asking where I found him?
Yeah.
It's all right. So it's the Dwemer Ruin in the middle of Solstheim, because there's 3 of them. The one directly in the middle. There's 2 on the coast, and it's kind of like you do this first gauntlet thing, and then you get the spider, and then you do the gauntlet again, and if you go farther past the spider, and the sphere is just like in this little thingy that you hit like a lever, and he comes out of it.
Okay, I've cleared out, I think, everything. It's just, I cleared it somewhat negligently. I've gotten to a point in the game where I only loot, like, mythical armor or weapons or flawless diamonds. Otherwise, it's not worth the wait.
Flawless diamond. Well, I'm sure, like...
you're so rich that you just I don't pick up gold anymore. I just pick up mythical weapons.
I mean, your highest level character is like 78, 79. My highest level character is 60, and I already have 400,000 gold. I can't even imagine how much you have.
Well, I had to spend a lot of my fortune on the leveling towards the end because...
on training?
Yeah, exactly. And all of your skills, once they're all up to, like, 70, 80, 90, and, now most of them are maxed out to 100, it's just absurdly expensive, but you have to do it.
Well, actually,
isn't there a respec option in Dragonborn?
Yeah, when you beat the main quest, you can respec, which Nas didn't know. I guess you beat it and didn't notice it.
I was hurrying through that content, but I beat the whole thing, and then you were like, yeah, why don't you go look around that room that you were in? And I was like, oh, thanks a lot.
I just got a picture in my head. Of your character just like, why don't you go look in that room and go, bitch, please, and then just walk out.
I just come through, murder everything, and then, like, look for diamonds. If there's no diamonds, leave, look for more murder. It's a never-ending cycle.
It's like your character talks about themselves in the third person, and you just like go, Nasrin does not check these rooms, Nasrin kills things, and then walks out the room.
That reminds me of when I first played Shivering Isles in Oblivion. I was playing my first character who had done everything. He was a super high level character, and I was just so completely, like, nothing could hurt me. It didn't matter. I had like 80-something% damage reflect or some BS like that. I just go invisible and run straight through dungeons. Because I was just like, this is a waste of time. I have all my weapon skills maxed out and stuff. What are they going to do to me?
Yeah, I think there's definitely, I don't know. It's like I never in these games I never end up with a high level character before I just sort of stop playing and then start again. For some reason, it's like I always end up I'll end up getting to about mid level before I just sort of phase out for some reason. I don't know why.
Basically, the way I do it is usually. I will basically set goals for a character when I come up with them, and I'll say, I want to do these quests and whatever, and I'll do some extra stuff too, of course, but once I have maxed out pretty much everything within my character's playstyle, once I need to start reaching out to other different, to different perks and skills and stuff that I wouldn't normally use, then I'm like, all right, I think I'm done with the character, because at that point, he's I guess realized, you know what I mean? You're
like a method RPGer.
Yeah, sure. I guess that makes sense.
I'm sort of the same way. It's sort of like, it's like if I have, like, for instance, I had a mage character in Skyrim, and I just sort of
they level a lot faster than I thought they did.
Yeah, they do. And it's like it's like as soon as I've maxed out the skills I want, it's like you have to go into all the things, and it's like it just makes no sense for my character to be having perks in something like lock picking or pickpocket or anything like that. And it's so once I get to the point where I have to break the role playing of the character to level up, then that's when I think it's just sort of, I have to give up on that character, I think.
That's why it's easiest to roleplay evil, because there's nothing that you wouldn't do.
I had my
first
Morrowind...
there's nothing evil you wouldn't do. You know what? You know how evil I am? I'm so evil that when I level up, I put skill points in anything. I don't care. Bitch, I don't care.
Pure chaos. See, that's how me and my friend, me and my best friend would play Morrowind all the time after school and stuff way back when it first came out and I was in diapers or whatever. And basically, the way we always kind of rationalized doing everything was that, like, my first Morrowind character was just a psychopath, and, like, my Oblivion character had, like, dissociative identity disorder, and becoming Shea Gorath was, like, his perfect fate, I guess. But, I suppose it... Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Okay, I suppose again it falls back into the whole, like, you know, there's the whole exploit. Well, it's not so bad now, but it's kind of is the whole exploit where you can sort of, if you max out alchemy, enchanting, and blacksmithing, you can turn your character. Now, for me, I'd never do that because it just makes no sense for any one of my characters to know all three of those skill, to invest in all three of those skill trees. Well, I do actually. I have a thief who sort of, she dabbles in everything. So she likes blacksmithing, she likes alchemy, and she likes enchanting. But I'd never end up maxing them all out because she's not, she's a jack of all trades. She won't master every single skill in every talent tree.
This is why the evil mage path is the best one, though, is because you'd want to know.
Evil mage path. Summon Dremora.
The world.
Max out blacksmithing.
Just because you want to know how to do it.
And you've got two perfect options within the lore to justify too. You are either a crazy Daedra worshipper, or you're a Telvanni mage. There you go.
Don't know what that last one is.
I think I'm more than both of those things.
You've ascended beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the trailer for Dragonborn was made for me, because it was like, did you think you were the only Dragonborn? And I was like, yeah, I totally thought that, and if there's another one, I'm gonna murder him.
I'm gonna try to murder that guy. Bitch, be disrespecting me.
It's like, yeah, I mean, there's a reason you have to live on this tiny little island.
Because you suck. Dragonborn of Island
kind of did come off as a pussy. I mean, one of the best things about him was that, like, the first time you talk to him, he's like, oh, like, if you beat the main quest, he's like, oh, you defeated Alduin. Well, I could have done that, but I decided not to. And you're like, yeah, sure, fuck you.
Get the fuck out of here. I think, again, that's sort of another thing that plays into it. Is sort of like no matter how powerful you become in the game, it's like nothing changes in the world. Now that's kind of that kind of works on two levels. It's like on one level it makes you feel like your character doesn't mean much in the grand scheme of things, and that the world keeps on turning without them. But on the other hand, you're the fucking Dragonborn, and you've just pretty much saved the world.
Yeah.
People should.
It undermines the realism to a degree.
Yeah.
So when you're first starting out, it makes sense that nobody has any clue who you are. But when you get to the end of the game, you should be the person that bandits should be running away from if they know who you are.
Well,
it's kind of
although, to that point, I think they've been putting in patches and stuff that have sort of changed that, because I've noticed some of the NPCs have different dialogue now, and a lot of them seem to be more, to acknowledge who you are more, and especially with regard to Dragonborn, at the end of, basically questing, the people around there treat you totally differently than they did when you first got there.
Yeah, I think they're fixing it on a smaller scale with the DLC for sure. And every time I hear this debate come up too about like having no impact, people always go back to Morrowind and say how they did it right. And as much as I love Morrowind, I gotta kind of jump to Skyrim's defense for two reasons. One is Morrowind was text-based, and when you're not using VO, you can do a whole lot more of the story. I mean, you can't argue that. It's money, period.
Yeah. And if I think of a game like Planescape Torment, I can't imagine that game ever having VO, like proper full-out VO, because there's just so much text.
Yeah, you've got that aspect, and then with Morrowind, the whole story is, you've got the ash storms going and the plague going and everything, and when you beat the main quest, you stop it, and it's noticeable because when you're in almost every region in Morrowind, you're going to get hit by these ash storms. They're a pain in the ass. You'll have to fight a bunch of enemies that usually will only come out like corpus enemies and stuff like that are all a pain in the ass. And the ash storms stop completely. A lot of that stuff goes away. The sky clears up. You can tell that you've made an impact on the world. And Skyrim could have done that with the dragons, but who wants to not fight dragons once you beat the main quest? You know what I mean?
Well, the thing with dragons is, I mean, I don't know. I haven't played far enough into the game to know what the new dragons are like in terms of difficulty. But once I was getting up into like the high, well, the low 30s, high 30s, dragons just weren't any
they
kind
do
of
become
challenge.
too
They were
easy.
just, yeah. I mean, it's just like they've just become things I need to kill so I can shout more. That's it. There's no real challenge.
I realized that one of the best ways to keep the game challenging is my current character mops the floor in most fights. He's like level 58 now or something. And I play an expert, but I use mage armor, so I'm always capped at, unless I use dragon skin or whatever it's called, which you have to channel and takes forever to cast.
I think.
It's the alteration, like master alteration spell.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that one is... It sucks because you have to channel it, but if you put the perks into it, it's worth it for certain fights. But most of the time, you're just using Ebony Flesh, which caps out at 300 armor. So you're running around at level, high levels with only 300 armor, and you can get jacked up pretty bad by that. With that, you just have to. You can offset it with a big health pool and by having good restoration, whatever. But you can still get like massacred if you get hit in the back by like a Draugr Deathlord when you're not paying attention or something.
Yeah, I remember when I first started messing around in the Apocrypha, my first lurker one hit me the first time it came at me. I was just completely shocked.
Oh God. Well, did you fight the secret boss yet, Nas?
I guess not. I'm on my last black book, and I did it. I went today, and I just was too lazy to go to the end, so probably that's very close around the corner for me, considering I've finished every other quest in the frickin' island.
Well, the secret boss, the reason why he's secret is he doesn't actually have like an actual quest connected to him. And then because this is kind of spoiler because it's kind of cool, so I'll be very vague, but basically in like the north part of the island, in some of those ice caves where all the Reeklings hang out, there's a really, really small one that has like 3 Reeklings in it, and there's a skull embedded in the wall in the back of the room. If you take that skull and you bring it somewhere else, and it's actually sort of obvious where you take it because of the name of the skull, you get this cool, crazy secret boss fight.
That sounds awesome. Thanks for telling me that, because I was kind of like today just thinking about what is left to do on the island, and I was sure that there was something.
Yeah, it's let's put it this way. I think I the first time I did it, I brought in a level 54 character who was armor capped, and this character one-shot me.
Nah, now I'm excited and intrigued by the challenge. See, that's the great thing about Skyrim, though, is like there are challenges all the time because the game attempts to test you in, I feel, like slightly different ways.
Yeah, it does. I think it does a much better job than Morrowind and Oblivion in the sense of balancing I've become ultra powerful and can mop the floor with all these guys and still supplying some of a challenge as long as you don't exploit things too bad. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean that was going to be easy anyway to outdo Oblivion with the auto.
Yeah, of course.
That was just the
Morrowind's
worst thing in the game. It was just
Morrowind's problem was simply that basically once you hit if you know what you're doing, once you hit level 20, 30ish, almost all of the enemy, you can destroy almost any enemy in the vanilla content. Some of the DLC guys will be pretty tough, but if you know what you're doing in Morrowind, you'll just destroy everything.
I think I've never played Morrowind, so I wouldn't know really. But with Skyrim, I imagine a lot of it depends on the type of character you're playing as. So
yeah.
So for thief characters or sneaky characters, you're going to be pretty much massacring things with your times 15 or 30, depending on which guild, guild.
Or times 60 if you're an orc.
Yeah, if you decided to friggin' metagame the shit out of it and use an orc and use battle range sneak attacks, berserker sneak attacks. But yeah, it's sort of and that's where that classic sells. But as soon as you're in a predicament where you end up having to straight up fight somebody, then that's when you end up getting your ass kicked.
You're running around as a level 10 rogue, and you got all your damagey sneak things really early, and you're like, yeah, all right, I'm going to go to the College of Winterhold, and then you get 2-shot by a snow saber cat out of nowhere.
I think that's actually the easiest skill in the game to level up passively without actually having to make any effort, is sneak.
Yeah.
That's the first skill when I'm using that type of character. That's always the first skill I get to 100 every time.
Well, if you backstab early on, you get a level every time you backstab.
Yeah, it's it's like as a ritual. What I do when I start the game is I go to River Run. River Run? I always forget the name of that town.
Riverwood.
Wait,
what? Right? It is Riverwood, right? Now I'm questioning.
Yeah. So I go there, and then I do whatever little mini quests there are there. So there's like the relationship one between the elf and the Nord and blah blah blah. Then I always do the mine that's closest. I forget the name of the mine, but there's a mine that's really close to that place.
I always massacre those guys. Like I go sell stuff and then I go straight there.
Yeah, that's what I do. So as soon as I come out of the tutorial, I go to Riverwood, sell all my shit. Depending on what type of character I'm using, I'll get the blacksmith training. Not the training, but the blacksmith tutorial, just to get some starter stuff. Then head over to the mine, just massive. So if I'm using a sneaky character, just head over to them, sneak attack everybody, just like level up like 3 times in one cave.
One time I made a sneaky character and I did the Imperial side at the beginning, running through Helgen, and there was I realized that if I could get him in the right spot, and your sneak, I think you have to be a Khajiit to have high enough sneak to pull this off at the beginning of the game because of the natural buff you get. You can actually like spam farm sneak attack on the torture chamber guy. And I got to like level 3 before I left the torture chamber.
Oh yeah, well you can do that anyway. I think you can attack. You can
attack the guy who's with you, but it's harder to sneak up on him because he's moving around a lot.
Yeah.
But I think we should probably like start the questions.
Yeah,
probably.
Good plan. That's a good plan, Batman.
All right, so the first one is from Eco Eclipse, right? It is Eco Eclipse, right? Not Echo. We made that mistake.
I would say Echo. Whatever. I don't care.
Okay, well,
it's a stupid name.
He wants to know what everybody's favorite part of the lore is. I guess we'll start with Daystar since you're at the top.
Honestly, I mean, I don't know an amazing amount of lore with it, but I know that there's a lot. But the thing with Elder Scrolls lore, from what I've gathered from stuff like books, is that there's a lot of lore that they sort of touch on lightly, but they never actually use in game. So I don't know what about.
Vague.
Yeah, so I don't know much about any of the lore in the games before Oblivion, but it's sort of like there's a lot of stuff that seems to be touched on, but I've never actually had it referenced in the game. But I've always liked the whole idea that that souls are recycled, that there's a certain amount of souls in the world, and that every time something dies, its soul is like goes to wherever, and then they're recycled and put back into things and stuff like that. So it's like with the whole Dragonborn thing, the idea that it's immortal who has a dragon soul, but that dragon soul would have obviously been a dragon at some point.
Yeah.
Is that actually I didn't know that was the explanation for.
I don't know. I assume that's
soul.
what it is. I mean, I don't know if that's the proper lore, but that's the conclusions I draw from it. If it's like the whole idea is that if souls are recycled, then that means if you're a dragonborn, then and you have a dragon soul, then surely that means it was the soul of a dragon at one point.
The way I understand like the larger aspect of the lore is that the reason why things are so contradictory, confusing, weird, and vague is because there's like one fundamental rule that kind of lords over all the lore. It's that if enough people believe something, that is the truth. And that can mean that there are conflicting truths, which only would lead to the idea of, well, this god means something and is something different for these people, but he's also this for these people. Yeah, so they all have, multiple personality disorder, basically.
No, it's really neat, though. It's sort of like, makes me think about, I think, was it Alexander the Great who was sort of reputed for, like, as he conquered people, allowing them to continue, their own regional traditions and whatnot. And the whole premise of, like, these are our gods and those are their gods, like, I really appreciate that sort of mentality, just because I don't know, it's a lot nicer way to view the world than a bunch of people are wrong and only one small population are right.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I actually a lot of people don't like it because it makes it very confusing, but I like it a lot. And the cool thing about it is there's a good and bad side to it. The good side is, well, a lot of people would think that, I think Akatosh is this great dragon god and he's all nice and everything, and some people among the Nords are like, no, he is Alduin, it's like his split personality or his hellspawn son or something, he's going to come destroy the world. And because they believe that, that is the truth, even if these other guys don't. And it's totally wacky like that, and it makes for like completely crazy stories. I mean, that is Elder Scrolls to me, basically.
I think another interesting thing I sort of saw as I don't know if it's true or not, but the whole idea is like every time you do a Daedra mission for one of the Daedric princes, you're essentially giving them your soul. But as somebody who's chosen by Akatosh, Akatosh would never allow one of his chosen mortals to end up just having their soul claimed by a Daedric lord. So I like the idea that as a character, you're sort of making all these deals with all these Daedric lords, and then at the end of it, when you die and they all try to come and claim your soul, Akatosh is like, "No, sorry guys," and just walks away with it.
Not only that, but the way it's been, I've seen people describe it and analyze it, because there's some people who know way too much about the lore. The like general consensus from these like bigwig guys say that the Dragonborn, the protagonist from the game, is basically just another avatar of Talos. So Talos was essentially controlling different heroes throughout time since after he'd become a god, and the Dragonborn is just the newest, essentially. So you have Talos and Akatosh's blessings. I'm pretty sure they're more powerful than Dagon or Azura. Pretty sure.
I just like to think of the infighting that would take place, because it's like, it's mine. No, it's mine. It's mine. It's like, sorry guys.
Sanguine just shows up and makes everybody naked and points and laughs at them
for no reason.
To your point though about having to relinquish your soul, I remember. So my favorite piece of armor that I have, actually my favorite item in the entire game, is the ebony mail, and.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and to get it, you have to straight up cold-blooded murder someone. And honestly, like, it really gave me pause. I tried to figure out ways to get it without doing it, and it's just impossible. So you really just have to kill someone, and it is difficult if you, even a little bit take seriously any of the characters in the game.
Yeah, that's why that quest, along with some of the others, is why my first character who did all the Daedra quests except for that one also didn't get the achievement anyway, because I didn't do any of the evil options. So you end up missing out on like half of the artifacts because you just refuse to like murder people or whatever.
There are a few loopholes.
So it's like
you can, for the werewolf hide one, you can get that and the other one, like finagle it so you sort of betray both parties and get 2 out of like the one quest line. But I think that's the only one.
Finagle.
Yeah, one time I did it. I transformed into a werewolf as soon as I went into the area, killed all the hunters as soon as they started talking to me, and then went straight up to the other werewolf and murdered him.
Yep.
Oh, you're a monster.
Hircine was like, "Great job."
Yep.
You killed all the people. Man.
Yep. I have Ayla wearing the Savior's hide, which I find particularly humorous.
It kind of looks like the Kraven the Hunter's outfit from Spider-Man.
I mean...
Oh yeah, well, with the leopard print pants and everything.
It has a wolf face on it. And she's a werewolf, and she has to wear her werewolf god's body draped on her because she's an NPC, and that's what she deserves.
And you're married to her, too. That's got to be awkward, because if you've got beast blood, does that mean you're just, like, tossing and turning in bed all night?
I mean, I don't really come home ever, but she seems like she sleeps restfully. I'm already a Khajiit, so I'm a Khajiit werewolf, and she's a person werewolf, and we're just trying to make it work in this crazy world.
See, now I don't think I'd ever be able to play a Khajiit as a werewolf. Just the idea that a cat turns into a wolf just doesn't. There's just something about that which I just can't do. I just couldn't do it.
I've done it. I've done it once, and it is very awkward when guards comment on you being like a smelly hound and stuff, and you're like, "What? I'm a cat." But that actually reminds me of this fucking crazy moment. But yeah, I was actually going to ask what everybody's like favorite like crazy RP moments they've ever had. This was one of my best. Is that the first time I was on this I was a werewolf on this character. The first time I went to Solitude, I was already a werewolf, and my guy was like lawful good, and I go, or neutral good. He was like super good, not like human laws didn't matter to him. And so he goes into the city, and they start the execution, and my guy's like, no, this can't happen. And I RP'd it that he like went behind a building to try and get himself under control and turned into a werewolf uncontrollably and charged the stage. And I fucking jumped up and instantly killed Commander, what's his name? The guy who's leading the execution, like mauled his face off, killed the executioner, killed a couple guards, and then went sprinting out of the city and like went and slept in the woods. And when I came back the next day, I started talking to everybody, and they're all like, oh yeah, I'm so sad Rogvir got executed. I'm like, wait, why isn't anybody talking about the werewolf attack? A werewolf fucking attack. What the hell?
That's what I mean. It's sort of like, I mean, it's like the only thing that limits how well you can roleplay characters is the actual game itself. Like, so with something like that, that sounds like a really awesome scenario that happens, but then the game just can't possibly acknowledge it because it's such a it's just not something.
It's such a bizarre
that would be
thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I always imagine, I was hoping that the next time I did this, you know how in Dawnguard randomly vampires would like spawn in the front gates of a city when you go in?
Yep.
I was hoping one time that they would spawn in the front of Solitude during the execution, just to see what would happen. But
just a load of vampires running, crash the execution, and just goes on like nothing happened.
Well, one time I went there with Serana as my follower, and I was just sitting there watching the execution, not interrupting it, and I was looking at the execution block, and I start hearing a grindstone, and I looked up and noticed that Serana had gotten on stage and started grinding something.
Can I use this as a segue for the what's your...
So that has no context.
What's your favorite?
So it starts grinding stuff.
Sorry, Nasrin.
I want to talk about Serana and my glitch problem with her.
Oh, I have this glitch where when she turns human, she has yellow eyes. I think everybody gets that though.
No. So I dismissed her before fully completing the last turn-in quest where you take her back into the Soul Cairn and have her reunite with her mom. And I dismissed her just because I wanted to finish leveling up my werewolf perks, and I was going to just go find her and rehire her. Only because her quest isn't finished, she can't return to where she's supposed to go, and because I'm not a vampire anymore, I can't go into the Soul Realm, and I can't find her because she can't finish her whatever program and find respite, so she's just wandering around the wastes right now for eternity. She's my favorite companion, and before I learned about this glitch, I ran into her 2 times in the wilderness, just wandering in the woods, and I thought to myself, what is she doing here?
Oh, hey Serana. Hey Serana, how's it going? Same old. She
was attacking some random thing, I helped her, and I thought, oh, that's odd, and I just went along my way, and then I go looking for her, and I can't find her, and finally I find out this is sort of a well-known bug, but just the fact that I saw her 2 times, just by chance, in the whole of that sandbox.
That sucks.
It does. It's pretty sucky. It's the bane of my...
I guess the only way I can imagine getting around that is to cure your werewolfism and then go get vampirism again and go in the Soul Cairn by yourself, but I don't know if she'd actually follow you there.
You can't get vampirism without finding her, at least. And I don't know where to find her because she could be anywhere.
Oh, you have to have Vampire Lord vampirism, or can you just get normal vampirism?
I think it might be Vampire Lord vampirism you'd need.
Yeah, I think it is too.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
It's actually, because I was going to say, they changed it in Dawnguard so that once you cure your lycanthropy, you can actually get it again. I think they added an option so that Isla, one time only will do it, will bite you again, or, give you her blood or whatever.
Yeah.
And you also... I think, I'm not 100% on this, but Dawnguard added, wild werewolves, and I'm pretty sure you can catch it from them.
I already, redid it, though. So I was a vampire, and then I finished leveling that up, and then I decided to go back to being a werewolf, now that they had started, keeping track of perks and stuff like that.
Yeah, I actually don't play vampires very often, so I always do I guess if you do the option where you go in as a vampire, you can't do the option where you get like partially soul trapped or whatever. I guess you need Serana for that. So yeah, you'd have to find her. That sucks.
Yeah. It's pretty... I mean, that's the one issue with the sandbox, right? Is sort of like... I mean, not the one, but like that is a terrible potential issue, is like if you had someone just wandering around aimlessly within that sort of semi-infinite domain. It's pretty frustrating.
I think that's the biggest problem with games like Skyrim, is just because the world is so huge, there's also so much stuff that can go wrong with it.
Oh yeah. I can't tell you how many save files I have where it's just saved right before a glitch happens just to rewatch it because it's so funny. Which I was actually going to ask, what is everybody's favorite glitch story? Because I know everybody has a million of them, so... Does anybody have anything in mind?
I'm not sure. I can't recall any particularly hilarious ones.
I got quite a few Dragonborn.
The walls not spawning happened to me a lot.
Yeah, the walls didn't spawn, but also that the floor wasn't spawned, and it was just...
You just fall.
Yeah, until you landed on a horizontal object, and then it would just be like people sitting at their tables, like, you know, with rugs, and as long as you're on a rug or something, you know, you're in the room with them, but if you fall off it, you're off into the abyss.
I had this bug where I walked into the head Redoran counselor guy's house. It didn't completely spawn. Usually the glitch only happens with your personal house in Raven Rock, but this one has like a lot of pottery and like Sujama jars and stuff in it. And like as soon as I zoned in, it was just like shit falling constantly across the screen.
Yeah,
just like pure chaos.
That is exactly what happened to me.
Isn't that the weird thing with the way the engine works? It's like when you're not looking at objects, they obviously go into low detail, but then when you look at them, they go into high detail, but the actual model of the object slightly changes, so some things will just sort of fall off shelves.
I've had things just randomly like disappear through walls and through the floor and stuff. Like there's that one bug with it's like a side quest line in the College Winterhold where you find out, like, this guy's trying to find out what happened to the Dwemer, and at the end he hits this, it's huge spoilers, so I'll be a little vague, but he hits this soul gem with a very special dagger, and basically when he disappears, the dagger falls through the floor. For most people, it just falls straight through the floor, and you have to go find it, like, behind a box somewhere. It's supposed to just fall right where he was standing, but somehow just shoots through the ground. But yeah, they I think that kind of bug was worse in Oblivion, where the engine was, I don't even know how I could say it was more unstable than Skyrim's engine was. But I don't know how much Oblivion you guys played, but I got this bug all the time where clothes would respawn in like your personal house, and the clothes would be like stretching from one floor to the other.
I think I remember seeing that, but it never affected my game personally. What I always liked doing in Oblivion was, I mean, this was always really fun in Oblivion, was if I was playing a mage, I'd go into buildings where there was bookshelves just filled with books, and then just fire the kind of fireball that sort of has an area effect, and just see books fly all over the place.
Oblivion had this really fun duping glitch where you could dupe items, and we used to have tons of fun just fucking around with the engine. You'd spawn like 1 million watermelons or something like that, and just shoot giant AoE spells, and they would just like, the game would lag horribly, and you'd just see objects flying all over the screen. It was fun.
I mean, I think there's a beneficial bug as well. It's like for the Dawnbreaker sword in Skyrim, there's a way of getting 2 of those swords because of the way the item is. It's sort of set in a pedestal, but if you use, I think it's if it's some AoE, like something like Blizzard or something like that, you can knock it out of the pedestal, but it still registers that the weapon has been there, so you can pick it up and then complete the quest, and you can get a second Dawnbreaker for completing the quest.
Dude, having 2 Dawnbreakers would be badass. They look so cool.
Dual wielding 2 Dawnbreakers, yeah.
Mirax's sword is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's super Cthulhu-y.
Love it.
I actually, my first character I played was a Khajiit, no surprise. I've played like 3 of them already. but his like my town clothes, I'd walk around in full Thalmor robes with the Dawnbreaker like on my side. I thought I looked like such a badass. Everybody in town probably thought I looked weird though.
What's that douche doing? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, what's it? Well, I imagine we've got more questions.
Oh yeah. This next one is from WoW Killer, and it is what do you guys hope to see in the next Elder Scrolls game?
I think user input.
Way to interrupt each other.
Sorry, I harp on this a lot in the office. Is that if there was a way for me to do something in Skyrim and for it to permanently affect my game in a way, you know what I mean, to be genuinely creative, like to make your actual mark on the game, then I probably would never stop playing it.
No, I totally agree.
I think mine would just be. I think again it touches on what I was saying earlier. Just smarter AI in general, just smarter AI, and just a world that sort of reacts better to the player. I think that's. I mean, as much as I like playing stealth characters, it just breaks me completely out of it when I shoot an arrow through someone's head, and not only do they not die, they also sort of go after a certain amount of time. They just go, "Huh, guess it was nothing," and they're walking around with an arrow sticking out of their head.
Yeah. And, well, honestly, like the AI has come a long way from the olden days. Like, and you should have seen the pathfinding in Morrowind. The AI pathfinding is the most hilarious thing in the universe in Morrowind. It's so abysmal.
So really,
if you stand on a rock, they're fucked.
So it's like I imagine the next Elder Scrolls game won't be coming out this generation. Definitely will be coming out the next generation of consoles. Now, for me personally, it's sort of like. From the next generation of consoles, I'm not so much bothered about seeing a huge graphical improvement as more of a
stability improvement.
I imagine it'd be RAM, I suppose, better, just so there can be more people on screen and the AI can just
more power.
Be better. So it's sort of like with these cities in Skyrim, they're sort of like you would never call them cities because. There's a couple of dozen of people living there. That's not a city. That's a small village.
I don't know if I mentioned this to you because I actually did talk about this with somebody recently where I was saying like, you know, the cities in like the Imperial City in Oblivion, it could have been bigger, but it was one of the biggest cities that they've had in the Elder Scrolls games, and it gave you the idea, a sense of a big city. And in Skyrim, like you have this beautiful architecture, very unique settings, like. Solitude's my favorite city in the game, and it looks great. It's just, it doesn't feel big enough. There aren't enough people walking around. It's like, I understand that it's supposed to be representative of what the lore says. Like, a Solitude, you'd imagine, has thousands of people in it. And they're obviously not going to put thousands of unique NPCs in there, but having more than 20 would be preferable.
There's like 5 houses, though.
For the sort of games, I think they could. I don't know if it would impede on the whole sandbox nature of the game, but obviously since cities are considered separate cells to the overworld, they could sort of make cities in such a way that. So, for instance, say in Solitude, you still have access to a city the size of Solitude, but the actual cell you're in is surrounded by hundreds of other houses, but obviously something you can't interact with. So like for instance in Solitude, it's the whole, you have the whole arch that goes over the river. Well, imagine that whole area just sort of surrounded by not hundreds of buildings, but a lot of buildings to make it look more like a city, but you'd never actually sort of be able to get to those places.
And that's kind of similar to the idea that Vivek and Morrowind in the Imperial City and Oblivion kind of did that in a different way, where they didn't have many more NPCs than most Skyrim cities did, but the Vivek and the Imperial City both felt huge because they had different cells. Like Vivek, for instance, was separated into, I want to say, like 12 or 13 cantons that all had different floors, many of which had 2 to 3 different cells in each canton. And the Imperial City had, like, I think, 6 or 7 different cells, including or excluding shops, obviously, and stuff like that. But you'd go in like the market district and the arena and all that other stuff, and it made it feel a lot bigger.
I think I think the Imperial City did a really good job in Oblivion with the Imperial City. I think the only thing that let it down was there needed to be more NPCs to make it feel a bit more alive. But
Yeah,
the size,
there was a lot of non-named ones.
Yeah, it was a good size,
and
it felt like a city, so it really only needed more NPCs. But a lot of the cities in Skyrim, I mean, they have enough NPCs. They feel populated, but they just don't feel like cities. They just feel like towns. So like Skingrad in Oblivion, I mean that felt like a huge place because there was a lot of buildings sort of towering over you.
It did feel pretty big.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump off of what Nasrin was saying about what she thought would be good in the next game, and I like the whole having an impact on the story is really important. I think they should definitely try to work on that. But I do like the concept of Radiant quests, which obviously for a lot of reasons you can't do too much with, but I think that they focused a little too much on them and there wasn't enough payoff in Skyrim. Like, they talked the system up a lot, and while there was a lot of variation in it, it took away from, not only was it not kind of compelling enough and kind of like, I guess it felt repetitive. A lot of times you were just going to a Draugr crypt or whatever. It kind of took away from the story aspect of the rest of the game, so you ended up with quest lines that were short as hell. Like the College of Winterhold and the Companions, I do on a lot of characters because they're so short. Like, they have barely any, like, they have interesting parts to them, but they're just so short and barely anything actually happens in them.
I think that's another thing I'd definitely like to see in a sequel is you know, the different sort of groups you can join. You need, aside from in the College of Winterhold, it's like you need to know a few spells and whatever, but you can literally become an archmage of a college and not know any magic. It's kind of there needs to be a system in place for these places where if you become a leader of these places for a reason, but you also have to have the necessary skills to be able to do it. So
Morrowind actually did do that.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not so much necessarily suggesting there's like a level cap where you say you must have at least X amount of points in whatever skill to progress in the storyline, but it just makes sense for your character to not be level 1 and be the Archmage of Winterhold.
It would be nice if those roles actually involved something as well, I think. Like being the Archmage involving some amount of curation of the college in the way that home ownership involves some small degree of home curation. I would like to see that aspect expanded on. Just to sort of give you a reason to stick around.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, if you're the Archmage... Yeah.
So like, once
you're trying to say something.
So once you become like once you become the leader of the different groups, you just don't do anything. So you become leader of the Thieves Guild. Then what? There's just nothing. And then there's still and then the dialogue still doesn't update. So people are like, so you might be one of us now, but blah 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 blah. It's like, dude, I've been here for that
reason I killed Dirge. I was the leader of the Thieves Guild, and Dirge was still a total douchebag. I'm like, all right, fuck you, man. I frenzied him, and Brynjolf decapitated him. I dropped his body in the sepulcher, and he floated there for like months before he despawned.
Wow, that's brutal.
So yeah, so it's like sort of. So, and again, it sort of ties in with these different groups. It's sort of like there's stand apart quest lines, but that don't tie into the main quest line. But I feel like they should to some degree. So it's like you're the Dragonborn. It's going to be pretty hard to travel the world without people knowing who you are. But then
the DLCs do a decent job of that. The DLCs do a good job of balancing, acknowledging what's going on in the main quest while also not shutting off the content just in case you haven't gotten to to a certain point. Like, I think you only need to do like the first 2 quests in the main quest or something like that to start Dragonborn. But you just get far enough to be named Dragonborn so that they can talk about that.
Yeah. Which kind of makes sense. So it's sort of like, as soon as you've killed your first dragon, the word gets around that there's a Dragonborn. So it should. I mean, realistically, it wouldn't take that long for sort of the rumors to go around and someone react to those rumors anyway. So it makes sense in the context of the game.
Well, I actually used to play characters that weren't Dragonborn. Like, I just wouldn't do the main quest at all, and dragons wouldn't spawn or anything. And I stopped doing that because the DLCs kind of require you to be the Dragonborn to do them in the first place, or a lot of the content anyway. And so, what's funny is if you get to the end of the Civil War quest line and you have not done any of the main quests at all, so you're not Dragonborn, they're like the only dragon flying around is Alduin, and you haven't seen him since the beginning of the game. Whether it's Tullius or Ulfric, whoever you're with at the end of the quest line, will call you Dragonborn, and everybody will like chant Dragonborn. You're like, what are you talking about? What's the Dragonborn?
Yeah, because again, it's like one of those things, one of those oversights where no one just sat down. Wait, what if the guy doesn't, progress through this main storyline? No one's gonna do that, and then Fappy's like, I did it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about Elder Scrolls games, and Skyrim especially, is just, like we said at the very beginning of the podcast, is everybody plays so radically different that I can't even imagine how many different contingencies they have to come up with to, like, make any remote sense whatsoever without completely removing storylines from each other and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
imagine
kind of
that's why
garbled when it came out of my mouth.
I imagine that's why they do a lot. So, like, for instance, with the different groups and stuff like that, that they have to sort of separate them from the main storyline, because some people like yourself sometimes just don't play the main storyline, so they can't be integral parts of the main plot if the main plot is an optional sort of thing to do.
I kind of want to expand on that question too, and just like that we had earlier. With not just like what do you want to see in the next game, but what province do you think, I'll say what do you want them to use, and what do you think they should use for the next game? What province?
I'd like to see Elsewhere. I'd like Elsewhere or Hammerfell, just a desert, just sort of like a sandy region. I'd like to see either Hammerfell or Elsewhere, just so it's a different change of just environment, really.
Yeah, I think the desert would be cool as well.
Yeah, I actually was gonna say Elsewhere and Hammerfell also, because the cool thing about Hammerfell, I think Hammerfell's more likely than Elsewhere, honestly, because I can't think, like, I love Elsewhere, but I can't imagine Bethesda doing a marketing campaign after Skyrim for their next game being like, travel to the land of cat people.
Why not? Miss Pandaria, anyone?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I think it'd be interesting to go to Hammerfell, because in regards to in terms of lore, it's sort of like Red Guards aren't considered. Well, they're not even. I mean, are they considered even human? I mean, they're considered separate from all the different other races, aren't they?
They're just not. They don't share a heritage with Nords, basically. But
yeah,
like what's cool about Hammerfell, like, the next game is like the best time to use Hammerfell because of what's going on in like the setting with the war with the Thalmor and everything. How Hammerfell's like fighting by themselves and everything, and it's like this big struggle. And the cool thing about Hammerfell, which I was talking about with somebody the other day, is it's kind of got this, Arabian Nights kind of deal going on, where you've got the desert and the sea, and you can do this really cool balance of desert and sea. And I was thinking how, like, they could come up with a totally new, like, travel system with boats. Like, can you imagine having like a pirate faction where you like build like a fleet of pirate ships and shit?
Yeah.
And you like go and raid islands and stuff? That'd be awesome.
I can just actually, I'm just sort of just picturing it now, just sort of like Arabian-esque sort of cities near these huge glistening blue seas, and that's a game I want to play.
Hell yeah. And then you can have like hookah dens too. Like finding like wrinkly old Red Guard people getting high on moon sugar, and you have Khajiits there too. I mean, it's the way it's kind of like described in the lore makes Hammerfell and Elsewhere feel very similar, simply because they pull from the same real life like myths and stuff.
Although,
if that makes any sense.
It would be funny if they did go to the desert, because then you would have not only a bunch of brown shooters, you would start to have a brown RPG.
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's the thing with sand is sand can be as dull or as vivid as you make it. So
Journey.
It doesn't necessarily have to be brown. So, like, I mean, Journey did. I don't want to name drop another game, but Journey did sand really well. Because it was shiny, because of the way the sun shined off the sand. It did sand really well, and I love the colour of the sand. It was just so nice.
Well, the thing about Elsewhere and Hammerfell, I'm actually not entirely sure which cultures they pull from more for each, like real life cultures, but a lot of the Persian area like, you know, Mesopotamia, or not Mesopotamia, you know what I mean. Like, a lot of those areas have very colorful architecture and stuff. So, like, I guess when you're out in the desert, it'd be very brown. But when you're in the cities and stuff like that, you'd have, like, really cool-looking buildings, I'd imagine.
Yeah, so something like Jerusalem or something like that, where it's just got lots of mosaic sort of buildings and just huge white architecture, and yeah. It'd be really cool.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool. It'd be a nice change of setting, I think.
I mean, when I think Hammerfell, I think Aladdin, kind of like, you know.
Yeah.
Very.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what
like ice cream roofs, ice cream cone-shaped roofs or whatever,
Domed.
or not cones, but
yeah.
Yeah.
So I always think Hammerfell is sort of like a Arabian-esque sort of, like, you know, in, you know, Aladdin sort of setting sort of place.
You could have
and elsewhere, I don't know. I mean,
dragons.
Dragons.
Magic carpets.
Exactly. I want a magic carpet. That'd be. I don't even know if it's in the lore, but they should add it.
Genie lamp.
Magic carpet.
Jinn. Actually,
Skyrim. Racist stereotype edition.
No.
Well, I mean,
it's
red cards do have
regional
adrenaline
folklore.
rush. What was that, Naz?
Jinn are part of the regional folklore, I would say, from Middle Eastern culture.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Look, I mean, I think the thing they'd have to draw, an influence from that, but I can't. If it's Elder Scrolls and it has its own lore, I imagine it can't draw too much of it. Otherwise, it just ends up being a blatant sort of, oh, check it out, it's Arabian Nights, but with swords.
I want to say I remember reading at some point about genies in Elder Scrolls lore, and it had to do with Hammerfell, I'm pretty sure, but I don't remember, like, if it was actually, like, something that was in the lore, like, you know, if it was real or if it was just, like, a myth within the game. I'd imagine that it's probably in there, because Elder Scrolls kind of takes fantasy lore from different things and, like, totally, like, does its own thing with it, and which is why I like it a lot. But I'd imagine there's probably genies in there. That'd be cool, anyway. I want to find an Afridi or something.
It'd definitely be a cool quest or something, like you end up in a genie lamp or something like that. That'd be cool.
They're like the black books. You just find a lamp and you rub it, and then, like, you have some crazy genie dungeon.
I mean, Hermaeus Mora is kind of like a djinn in the sense that he's trying to tempt you and get you to strike a bargain with him.
I think actually the Daedric lord that embodies a djinn more than any other is probably Clavicus Vile, because he's supposed to be like the Daedric lord of, like, granting wishes and power and stuff like that.
That never turned out just the way you like it. So you wish for unlimited power, and then you end up, like, getting shanked by it somehow.
Basically he's Calypso from Twisted Metal. If anybody's ever played Twisted Metal, you've never played Twisted Metal?
So it's like a monkey claw, where you have to make the wishes, but you have to be very specific about the wishes, otherwise they're backfiring.
Alright, so Redland5 wants to know if we have any stories about being addicted to Skyrim and consequences in real life.
Yeah.
I would say, you go first, Nasrin.
Oh, I mean, I don't have a particular story. I mean, kind of. I remember I had, I wanted this game so badly, and I really couldn't afford it. So I traded in, like, 9 other games for it at GameStop, and it came out to within, like, 1 cent of the cost of the game. So I was super hooked from the beginning. And I played during break in the office and whatnot, and people started coming back to work. And I remember at one point, I have it in my book bag, and I'm eating lunch at my desk, and I'm like, is anyone playtesting a game in, like, the testing room? And Susan's like, why? And I'm like, well, I have Skyrim, and I was thinking I could get some time in. And she's like, really? You just want to play for fun right now? Just because? I was like, oh, you're right. This is probably not a great idea. But, I mean, I had been bringing it to work every day.
Yeah,
it was like my
there were
first
times when there were times when I was still an intern, so I didn't have a lot of responsibility and stuff like that, where I was working for this boss that he was completely negligent. He ended up getting fired, but he didn't care, like, if I worked from home. And there were like multiple days on end where, like, I'd email him and he would have nothing for me to do, so I just play Skyrim at home and get paid for it. I felt so bad.
I hate you so much.
I felt like it was awesome on one hand, and on the other hand, I was like, I feel so guilty because other people are working right now. I'd like email other interns like, oh God, is there anything I could do at all to help? I feel like a piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, like, you can play games at work if it's for work, you know? But, like, just sort of, like, usurping the Xbox to hit, like, you know, handle your addiction while you're at work comes off the wrong way.
Yeah.
The thing with, for me, for Skyrim, I won't necessarily say it impacted my social life in any kind of negative way, because I mean I have a lot of free time to sort of play games anyway, so I kind of get my fix when I need it. I think the thing that it for games like this that they do a lot is they'll take up space in my brain when I'm doing other things. So like the other day, I was at work just doing my thing, and what I do at work is a pretty brainless task anyway. It's sort of just like some data entry and stuff like that. So I don't have to think too much about it. So I'm just sort of sitting there just thinking about all these things I can do in Skyrim and how I'm going to progress this character and so on and so on and so on. And then I'm just sort of just, as soon as the day draws to a close, I'm sort of like, oh yeah, I want to get home. I want to get home and do this and do that and blah blah.
Yeah.
Blah, blah.
Yeah, I do the same thing. It's the worst is when you have dreams about it. Like if you played too much in like that day, and then when you go to sleep, you dream about it. Like last night, because I got Walking Dead, like the whole thing, yesterday, like morning. Because it was on sale on Steam, and oh my god, yeah, it's fucking phenomenal. But
it's fucking brilliant.
Basically, I played through the whole thing like straight. I think I took a break for dinner and that was it. And when I went to bed last night, literally, I remember I had 2 or 3 dreams, and all of those dreams were like, it wasn't any of the characters in the game. It was like me and people I knew going through a zombie apocalypse, like with the adventure game format going on. Like I was controlling it, and like my friends were dying and stuff, and I couldn't save them because I like sucked at the game, I guess.
I think the one that springs to mind for something like that immediately was back in the day when I used to play Guild Wars a lot. I spent a lot of time. I sunk a lot of time into that game, and I was experimenting with builds and stuff like that. And I have it on authority from my fiance that, okay, sometimes I talk in my sleep. So I was dreaming, and I was just basically just sort of mumbling out builds to myself in my sleep. So I'll be going,
oh god,
and then I'll do this, and then I'll do that, and then I'll do this, and then I'll put this on that, and then she was just like, you were talking to yourself in your sleep about Guild Wars builds. I was like, what's that?
All right, so the next question is from Flames Dudes, you know, our old guy with the double Zs going on. And,
oh no, it's just one Z apparently.
Yeah, whatever. He wants to know what everybody's favorite armor sets are. I guess in appearance.
In appearance, I'd say for light armor, Nightingale, without a doubt. That's my favorite looking armor in the game. It's especially on female characters. It looks like it's just a really good armor set. Heavy armor, I'd want to say Daedric, but I think I really like ebony armor because it's so clean and it looks great. But I think from Dragonborn, I think the carved Nordic armor looks really good.
Oh yeah.
I'm not such a fan of Stalrim. The Stalrim armor looks a bit meh, but yeah, the carved Nordic stuff looks really good.
You go next, Nasrin.
I definitely have favorites. So, as I said earlier, the ebony mail is my favorite chest piece, and then I wear the Nightingale gloves because I like the one-handed attack perk, and then I like the Jester boots from the guy from the Assassin's Guild, the Dark Brotherhood guy.
Oh, Cicero, yeah.
I stole his boots at one point, and I really like the way they look, especially with the ebony armor. It sort of like gives off that effervescent black sort of vapor that envelops you. And
it's kind of like a poison aura or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, it saps health and makes you like almost impossible to detect, so it affects your sneak.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Game breaking.
Right, I wear that, and I wear the Ethereum crown that lets you double stack the stone abilities. So then
I love that thing.
Yeah, I love it too. And then I have I think Mirak's sword is my new favorite one-hander, but before that I really liked Mehrunes dagger.
Yeah, Mehrunes razor. I remember in Oblivion, I think they changed it in Skyrim so you can only use it on like certain things. like or it just didn't affect a lot of things. But in Oblivion, like it worked on almost any enemy in the game.
No, I mean, from what I've read, I mean, I was sort of looking at like wiki stuff for Skyrim, and according to the wiki, Mehrunes, the dagger still works on anything, so you can potentially one shot Alduin.
Oh, indeed. Does it still? Because I think I've used it before in Skyrim, but not a lot. Does it still say you've claimed a soul from Mehrunes Dagon when you kill somebody?
I don't know.
When you one shot them?
I haven't used it personally because I can't bring myself to have to murder somebody to use the dagger.
Oh yeah.
I'm weird like that. I can't play evil characters, so I've never seen the Assassin's Guild, you know, just that campaign or anything like that, just because I just can't force myself to play evil characters.
It's actually, I've only done the Dark Brotherhood once in Skyrim. I've done it a couple times in Oblivion, but the funny thing about quirky weapons like that, I think Wabbajack is the best example of like fucking bizarre weapons that do weird things, because in Oblivion, there was actually this funny bug that if you shot Mehrunes Dagon at the end of the game, you know, where he's coming out of the Oblivion Gate and fucking up the Imperial City, if you shoot him with Wabbajack, it one-shots him. Like, he just dies. And he, like, his body, like, it's all weird Stretch Armstronged all over the place because he's not supposed to die.
He's not supposed to die. He's not supposed to die. The fact that there was actually... the fact that he could die is like they actually programmed it in so that, you know, he dies, but he's never supposed to die. It's like this thing just happened.
It's really fucking weird. But to answer that question, I think my favorite armor sets are probably... on the light side, I like Dragon Scale a lot, especially because the helmet looks like Shredder's helmet from Ninja Turtles. It looks like it more so than I think the Daedric one does, because I honestly don't like the Daedric helmet that much because it doesn't look very Daedric to me. It just looks like some crazy Shredder demon something, you know, biker helmet thing, motorcycle helmet.
What would you expect a Daedric helmet to look like?
I don't know, like, look at any of the helmets from Morrowind or Oblivion. Those all, like, kind of keep a common theme, and in Skyrim it kind of deviates too far. But the rest of the armor is fine. The helmet just kind of bothers me. But so light, I'd say Dragon Scale, although I think the chest is best replaced with the Vampire Lord armor because from behind you look like Shredder completely. And then heavy, I'd say probably Nordic carved armor because that looks super cool. The only problem with it is if you're not playing a bulky character, it makes skinny characters look bulky. And heavy Stalrim's good looking. I have a character who uses heavy Stalrim with the Ethereum crown, and the crown like matches it perfectly.
Yeah, I think with the Stalrim armor, the armor's not so bad. It's the helmets I don't like. I've never been a big fan of just huge horned helmets.
I barely ever use helmets anyway.
Yeah,
I use like hoods a lot and circlets and crap like that. Like my,
I have a habit. I have a habit for my characters. So like with my warrior character, he wears a helmet, but I always have it on. I always have it set to favorites so that I don't equip it when I walk into cities because it just feels weird to walk
put it
on
on like left on the D-pad or something like that.
Yeah. So
you just I used to do that too sometimes. Super anal retentive like RPing going on.
Yeah, I don't know. It just makes the game a bit richer for me. It's just like some people sort of play these games and they play it, but they don't role play or anything like that. They play it, which is fine. I mean, you know, you get what you want out of a game. But for me, part of the fun of games like Skyrim and Fallout is just getting in my head of a type of character that I want to put through the game, and then just sticking to it religiously and making sure that these characters don't do what they're not supposed to do or what I'd never imagine them doing.
That kind of goes, like, reminds me of my point at the beginning where people play the game differently. Do you guys ever get like really frustrated where you talk to somebody who has also played Skyrim, who does play Skyrim, and they like people can play the game differently, but you know this person like just doesn't get it, like they just don't understand it's an RPG.
Yeah. Isn't there a part?
They just like.
I mean, they probably won't be playing it if they just don't get it at all, and if they just get it in a different way than you, then it's just you being the asshole to be upset about it.
Oh yeah, I know. It's human nature, though. You know, you can't.
For the main storyline,
it's impossible to get over yourself sometimes when you're kind of like Like for me, for example, I've been playing Elder Scrolls games for like a decade now. So if I'm talking to somebody who's played Skyrim and like, yeah, man, I started off, there was a big black dragon and I went into a town and killed everybody and stole everything, and then I stopped playing, and I'm like, oh god, no. Like, I can't help not looking, like, thinking poorly of them.
Oh, yeah.
Just because.
I mean, if you love something, you want other people to love it, but you can't really expect everyone to be as cool as you are. You know what I mean? Because obviously,
I know
what
you
you
mean.
do is the best.
Isn't for the main? I mean, for Skyrim, I mean, I don't know, I haven't got that far, but isn't joining the Mages Guild part of the main storyline, regardless? Isn't that something you have to do?
You don't really need to join it. I think you can say, no, this is what it is. You get a special dialogue option when you talk to the chick at the beginning that says,
but
like...
you do have to during Dawnguard.
I think you need to talk to... Well, why would you need to do it in Dawnguard?
In Dawnguard, if you're doing the vampire playthrough, you have to, in order to learn about one of the Elder Scrolls, you have to get to the library in Winterhold. I don't know, there might be another path for it, I'm not sure, but you have to join the Mages Guild for it, and it's like a forced thing.
One of the Elder Scrolls you need to use in Dawnguard is the Elder Scroll you get in the main quest. So if you've gone through the main quest and gotten the Elder Scroll that way, like when you're supposed to in the main quest, I don't think you theoretically need to join the Mages Guild. I think the step you need to take to join it is you need to talk to the chick. She's a step under the Archmage. It's the Breton chick. I think you officially join when you talk to her, so you can just not talk to her. You can totally avoid her and not join.
I know, but that's the sort of thing that really bothers me. That's something that just really gets me anally retentive. Is just the whole idea that I've got a warrior character and they'd never touch the Mages Guild with a 10-foot pole, and it's kind of just bugs me that I have to learn a spell to be able to get into the courtyard to talk to this person.
The Thieves Guild is the worst because Brynjolf won't stop fucking harassing you if you don't do that mission for him at the beginning. Like, he's like, you want to make some money? I'm like, shut up, I told you to leave me alone like 50 times. Or the guy who stands in front of the abandoned house. What was that?
Makes you feel cheap after a while. Someone's like, you want to make some money? And you're like, leave me alone. I'm just going to the
that Argonian in Solitude.
It's like the way with Brynjolf, it's just like he guesses. It's like every new person in town he goes up to and go, I could tell you didn't make a single penny of that money, honestly. And it's like, fuck you, Brynjolf, you don't know me. Just on
I'm
the one chance.
I'm a good paladin. What are you
just
talking
on the off
about?
Chance
I donate money to RK's church.
Yeah, just on the off chance someone goes, oh, how did you know? And he goes, I have an eye for this kind of thing. He just does it to everybody.
And then there's that asshole in Markarth who stands in front of the abandoned house for the House of Horrors quest.
Yeah,
I always have to, if I don't want to do that quest, I always have to walk way around him because he not only will he auto conversation if you get him within range, if he sees you, he'll walk towards you.
You're like, oh god,
get the fuck away
I
from
just
me.
have to run away.
It's like hobos in cities in real life asking for money. You just have to keep avoiding them.
I don't want your quest. Don't give me your quest.
Alright, so this next question is from Abel Seacat. I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, he or she wants to know if there are any changes to the combat system that you guys think should be made in the next game.
Oh, definitely. I mean, for me, the weakest part of the game is the combat. There's just no feel to it. It's just two people wailing on each other. There's no feedback. There's just nothing about the combat that feels like actual combat. It's just two people just stabbing each other, and the first person to run out of health dies. That's it. I mean,
there is some skill,
none of your swords clash.
Where you stab someone does matter to some degree.
Oh, I mean, yeah, there is a skill. I mean, obviously, there is skill involved. I'm not saying there isn't, but it just, I don't know, it feels like the combat could be so much better. So, I mean, if you've played Dishonored, you can kind of get a feel for how first-person combat can turn out. I mean, the way the combat plays out in that game just feels really satisfying. A bit too easy to kill
I wouldn't
stuff.
know. I just chokehold people all the time.
But that's something that can be worked out. But yeah, I mean, it's the way it works out is I just wish there was simple stuff like swords clashing or anything like that instead of instead of just everyone's arms just passing through each other and the first person to run out of health dies. It's just, I mean, that's why I like playing as a warrior, because there's a lot of blocking involved and stuff like that. But I don't know, it just feels like there should be more feedback and so like if you hit somebody with a great sword, it should feel like you've hit them with a great sword, rather than, and they don't seem to act any differently than when you hit them with a with a dagger. It just doesn't feel like any of the melee weapons have any kind of feel to them.
They're not special.
If you notice, the animation for swinging like one-handed weapons are all the same, as well as two-handed weapons. So if you're swinging a sword, you're going to swing it the exact same way you swing a single-handed mace, even though, realistically your arm would move differently. I mean, weight's in different parts of the weapon and all that other stuff. And the weapons don't feel like the oomph when you hit something feels identical between weapons.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think they definitely have made a lot of improvements in that regard from Morrowind, especially, where it was all spreadsheets and dice rolling and stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, it definitely feels better than it did in Oblivion. I mean, the kill cams did a lot in that game to sort of just give that. I mean,
kill cams are fun. I love them a lot. I like them a lot.
I'm glad they added them to mage stuff as well.
Yeah. The destruction ones, and the funny thing is, the destruction ones are hilarious, and the archery ones can be great, but for some reason they are so buggy. Like, they'll register that you should kill them, but since in a kill cam time isn't completely frozen, something will change from the time you shoot it and the kill cam starts and where the enemy is by the end of the kill cam. So the arrow just goes over their head or something.
So you fire it and it initiates kill cam, but then they end up standing behind a rock and it just bounces off the rock.
Yeah, I never realized how fun destruction can be until later. It definitely is underpowered at late game, but it's still using Firestorm, if you can get Firestorm to work without getting it interrupted from enemy power attacks and stuff, is hilarious. One of the things I like to do is I run at a group of enemies and I use full powered Cyclone, which is a new shout in Dragonborn, which knocks everybody up. Yeah, Cyclone's so fun.
It's
silly. Knock everybody up. What was that?
It's silly because everyone's all serious. There's a whole bunch of skeletons all swarming on you, and then they all just get sort of knocked against the ceiling and then just knocked all over the ground, and they all just have to wake up oh, where am I?
Yeah, so that's the perfect opportunity to do a channel spell. So I just shoot a cyclone, they go flying all over the place, and I cast mass paralysis, so when they're getting up they just fall back down, and I just firestorm 3 times, and their enemy corpses flying miles away all over the place. And the best is if you get a kill cam with an AoE, with one of those channel destruction spells, because it looks so cool. Your guy super pissed, and he just has his fist in the air and slams his hand on the ground, makes a giant explosion. I blew up a guy's face once. The guy was lying down directly in front of me, and my hand planted on his face and then exploded.
I think the thing that with that Skyrim still has that they didn't. It improved a little bit, but visually Skyrim looks a hell of a lot better than Oblivion did. But the animations are still a little bit choppy.
Oh yeah.
It's sort of
the execution scene at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, the walking animations aren't so bad, but then when you draw a weapon, like a bow, or you've got for instance, if you're a mage and you have both your hands out with spells, and if you go in a third person to see how they run, they just look like they've crapped their pants. They're just sort of waddling along.
Well, you see that a lot when you're fighting mages, and they look like they're cramped over a computer screen or something like that.
Yeah. So the animation still needs work, definitely.
Yeah, I'd say that the challenge is striking a good balance between making fun, kind of dynamic and interactive combat with actually making stats matter. Because you don't want a lot of the arguments with having the lock-picking minigame, which I actually like the minigame in Skyrim a lot better than it was in Oblivion.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
a lot of people don't like it at all. They don't like the fact that it's a minigame because, when you get good at the minigame, your skill level doesn't matter at all. I can lockpick master locks at lockpicking 20. It'll take me a little longer, but
yeah, definitely. I always save before master chest, but I'll always be able to unlock it eventually. It's sort of I don't know. I mean, in Morrowind, didn't they have like each kind of major, so like mages, thieves, and warriors all had their own way of opening chests that you could break open chests?
it was
Was that
well,
not Morrowind?
there
Or I'm
was
thinking of something else.
you can't bash it open, but in Morrowind and Oblivion, you could lockpick it or you could cast open lock spell.
Yeah. So for a mage, you can have an unlock spell, which makes perfect sense. But then in Skyrim, they sort of remove that whole utility part of the alteration tree. So, and it's kind of like in order to loot a lot of stuff in the game, you're forced to have to dip into leveling up lockpick to do it, which is always, I don't know, I dislike it, but I can sort of legitimize it in some ways if I come up in my head with some sort of reason why my character would be able to do that.
Well, for people who have problems with that, you can't tell followers to unlock lockpick, so you can get one that has a good lockpicking level and then tell them to do it.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. I forgot that. Yeah, I never used companions, so I forgot that they can do stuff like that.
Yeah, you can give them like gear that like I'm pretty sure you can give them gear that fortifies lockpicking and stuff, so they don't waste as many lockpicks. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I've never actually really done it myself because I just like, there's some things when you RP a character that you're just like, whatever. I mean, I don't want to try to get around this. I'll just do it.
Yeah, I mean, I just come up with some really sort of reasons. So, like, for instance, if I have a warrior character, the reason they can lockpick, I just say, well, they do a lot of dungeon exploring, and there's a lot of locked chests in dungeons, so they didn't learn lockpicking for devious means. They learned to pick locks because it was a necessity of diving into dungeons.
Yeah. Is there anything in particular you change about combat, Nas?
Honestly, I really enjoy the combat. It feels really fluid. I guess my only criticism is similar to Daystar's in that it does get a little bit boring after a while if you do a good job at stat management. I mean, and I think one thing I'd like to see more of is, like, I guess, specialized moves, like making it more interesting, sort of like what you were talking about with, like, for example, if you were to strike someone and their sword would come and meet yours, like, it would be nice to do, like, flourishes. And
yeah.
It's nice in other fighting or games that have combat in them, how you get new moves, whereas in this one it's like, your hack is stronger.
Yeah.
Like they tried that in Oblivion, and it didn't really work that well. Like, every 25 levels or so, you get, like, a new type of power attack, but they were, like, really clunky, and usually you just didn't even bother with them.
What I'd really love to see is, like, for instance, it may not necessarily make the game any more difficult, but it sort of plays on. So, like, for instance, if you're using a sword, if you clash with somebody at the right time, you may end up having a little struggle with it, and it might not necessarily be a quick time event, but it might be like some sort of I won't say mini game, but yeah, something like that. Or like if you're a mage and you end up clashing spells with another mage, it could be like some sort of like beam struggle going on or something like that. Like if you both use a lightning spell at the same time and the streams hit
Dragon
each other
Ball
or
Z
something
beam
like
struggle.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Something like that, just to sort of make it feel like you're not just wailing on each other, that your attacks are interacting with each other.
Well, that reminds me of the random Radiant story thing where, like, a random mage will find you and challenge you to a mage duel, and if you, like, pull out a weapon and start hitting him with it, he's like, "No, I said magic only, you're cheating!"
I've never seen that one. See, that's the great thing about this game. It's sort of like you can talk to someone else about it, and they can have seen something that you've never experienced. So like that, I didn't even know that was something that happened. It's just nothing that ever happened to me personally.
It makes it tough to be an expert.
Yeah, because you don't, like, even if you have, the wiki opened up and you've gone through all the main quests, there's still going to be some random dungeon you may not have seen before unless you're, like, a super completionist.
Well, yeah, and I mean, that's sort of, like, what drives even completionists, because I would consider myself to be one, and what keeps me playing that game is knowing that there's going to be some nook or cranny that I've never seen, that I'll just stumble upon organically, eventually, and those moments make the whole thing worth it, I think.
Yeah, I actually, because I had this reference in Oblivion, they added it in Skyrim, and I knew it was in Skyrim, but I'd never found it before. I just recently found the 3 Billy Goats Gruff, like, crossing the bridge near Markarth with a dead troll under the bridge. I thought that was a fun little reference. In Oblivion, the troll actually had a poem on him, like a suicide note, but not in Skyrim. He's just a normal dead troll. But so the next question is from, I see this guy around all over the place. I have no idea how to pronounce his name, but it's
A lot
like
of questions, man.
this is the last one actually. This is Ronnie 1980. I think it's Ronnie. Anyway, he just wants to know like what everybody's favorite faction quest, or like I guess main quest chain, and like what we would do to improve them overall, like just the system itself, questing, I guess. Yeah, that one's hard for me.
Well, one
I
question. So if you can improve a faction, is that the question basically?
or what
It
faction
was-
or
it
quest
was-
line was your favorite?
Yeah, it's which one is your favorite, and like how would you improve like the quest lines themselves, not like anyone in particular, but like just generally.
I guess right now it might just be because it's more recent, but I think in Dragonborn you have this whole thing where you're sort of mediating the relationship between the Skull tribe and Hermaeus Mora, and it sort of, comes to light that they have all these prophecies about, Hermaeus Mora and eventually having to lose to him and all this stuff, and I mean, this is spoilerific, but we've already said there's going to be spoilers. Watching the shaman sort of sacrifice his life for his people and, knowing that he was going to die was really sad. Like, the whole thing, because you did it to him. You put him in that situation, and you feel super bad for him, but you also admire him a lot. And I don't know.
He dies in a super brutal way.
Yeah, right in front of you, and it's just I respected him a lot at that moment, even though the whole time, up until that moment, I was being very flippant about it. And I guess my improvement sort of goes hand in hand with, like, I feel like tweaking the characters, their programming, so that there's more realism, just because while I'm doing this quest, I have Freya with me, who's the shaman. And I'm doing a quest that involves the people that are exiled from the Skull Village, And the whole time, like, there's all this stuff about, like, them trying to work their way back into the good graces of the Skull, but here I have the leader of the Skull in our group, and she doesn't even recognize any of them, and they could just ask her, you know what I mean? It sort of, like, undermined, I guess, the experience for me, but it didn't take away from my enjoying the story.
One thing that they did actually pretty well in that exact same like part you're talking about where he sacrifices himself, a lot of important things will happen in quest lines, and a lot of times it's like super scripted where, like, for instance, in the College of Winterhold where the Archmage gets like blown out the doors and you find him dead and like everybody's freaking out and everything. Like, that's a heavily scripted moment where all the NPCs in the area are totally into what's going on. But a lot of the time, like, something big will happen and none of the NPCs will acknowledge what's going on at all. And I liked in that scene, if you noticed, after he sacrifices himself, or while he's sacrificing himself, everybody in the village, like, gathers around and watches. And you can actually, like, they'll all comment on him, like, dying and stuff like that. Which
the same sort of thing happened when you entered Solitude, and that guy was getting executed. It's sort of like they all
I was
had
about to say that.
something to say. And I really like that. That was something that was kind of cool. They sort of, and then there'll be one of the things I really hated about Dawnguard was that they added the random vampire attacks, and not only does it mean that
they're annoying.
I have to reload on several occasions because they've killed off a person who lives there who I really didn't want them to kill, but it also means that vampires have just attacked and then just nobody cares. Just everyone's walking around like nothing's happened. And it's just, again, it sort of it goes into with the AI, and that it needs to be better. The characters need to react to situations a lot more realistically.
Well, see, the funny thing about the vampire attacks is I understand the logic where they want to actually show that there is a threat, like vampires are killing people, but they were using two ideas simultaneously, and one of them was good and one of them was bad. One of them was like the random stranger or like traveler that you can find in a town who's just like an undercover vampire, and like you just run into him and you're like, oh shit, I gotta take care of this guy. That makes sense. But the other one where they just spawn a group at the gate of a city, not only does it make any sense because they just walked by the guards outside apparently, but their strategy is terrible. They just run through the front gates and commit suicide basically. They're like, 3 guys,
Yeah.
let's take on the whole city guard.
Yeah.
Let's go, come on.
Again, so it's like the whole thing. So it's like if these places are supposed to be cities, then and there's only literally three like 1 vampire and 2 thralls. Are they just stupid? Because you just run into a city, and it's full of what would be potentially hundreds of guards, and it's like you expect to come out of that, not dead.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all.
But yeah, like I said, so there's like the mysterious stranger who sort of walks around, and he's a vampire, and he's up to some dodgy shit, but you don't actually see anything happen, but it could be. So that's a cool way of doing it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always felt like the Elder Scrolls in general would benefit a lot from the way Fallout deals with speech. Sort of like you can spend all the time in the world building your character in Skyrim, but there's just no dialogue options. There's just nothing about the way your character interacts with other characters that makes them your own. Every single character reacts the same way to every situation, and it's like your character could be a crazy assassin, serial killer, but they just still react the same way to speech dialogue situations than any other character. And it's kind of like, I wish it was more like Fallout in that you're given several options in dialogue that sort of may not necessarily influence the conversation, but at least give you the sense that your character is saying something different than your other characters.
Are you saying like you get different options depending on what you're doing to say? Like
but so
I think that
it might not. So like you're given some dialogue options to say, but they might not necessarily influence the outcome of the conversation. The conversation may end up resulting, ending up the same way, but at least it just feels like your character is saying something that fits with their personality. So like in Fallout, you have like you could be a complete asshole, but that's just the way your character is in the and vice versa. You could be someone who's really supportive and benevolent and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just like in Skyrim, it just sort of feels like your character is just like, yeah, whatever, and he just sort of gets on with the quests. They live for quests.
He's got a to-do list, and that's all it is. But that actually kind of reminds me, Nasrin, I don't know if you noticed this also, but in Dragonborn, you get a lot of... They did a good or a decent job kind of acknowledging past deeds, I guess is a good way of putting it. Like Neloth in particular, if you remember the crazy Telvanni wizard that helps you in the main quest and has a quest line of his own, he'll actually he has multiple lines, if I remember correctly, where he'll say oh, you're the Archmage, well then blah blah, this and whatever. And if you've done the Hermaeus Mora's Daedra quest where you get the Augment Finium, do you remember? I'm assuming you'd done that because your character was like 70 whatever when you did the DLC.
I've done all this stuff, but I haven't noticed him acknowledging my archmageness.
I think it only happens the first if you can meet him like for the first time in 2 different ways, and it only happens if you meet him at like I don't remember which stone it is. It's the standing stone by Raven Rock. When you meet him there for the first time, he says it. But the first time I did it, I met him like in his tower, I think. But the first time you go to Apocrypha, if you've done Hermaeus Mora's quest already, he says like something super ominous, like he says the Augum Infinium was only the beginning, and that's like all he says to you when you enter there, kind of like assuming that you already know who he is and what he's about. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like it was a great teaser. I mean, that's kind of why I was compelled to buy the DLC. It was just all of this sort of hinting at, like, goading your ego, because up until now, you've probably beaten everything in the game if you're still interested in more Skyrim at this point.
Which it's kind of strange thinking about what they're going to do with other DLCs, because the previous 2, I mean, Dawnguard was kind of a smaller expansion. It was like Knights of the Nine from Oblivion, but Morrowind and Oblivion both only had 2 expansions each, which felt like a lot. And the way I hear it from Bethesda is that Skyrim plans to have another like 2 or 3 major DLCs. So it's going to be weird thinking about having that much more to do, because there's already so much to do in the game.
I'm interested to see what they'd pull off with it. It's kind of like, obviously they have to be very interesting to play, but then at the same time they can't just sort of. So like with the whole Dragon Ball thing, it's like, well, how do you top that? What's next, sort of on the list of things to do that would possibly more be a bigger deal than that? Or I don't know. It's interesting.
The main thing I want them to add, above any like story content, just give me the option to disenchant items and keep the item. Like do it where, like, if you already have learned the enchantment and you just want like the piece of gear without the enchantment on it so you can make your own, like, come on. I want to make cool looking robes good and not crap.
So you want to strip enchantments off items so you can re-enchant them with better enchantments.
Yeah, like it would be cool to add like your own enchantments to unique looking items too. Maybe not like Daedric artifacts or anything like that, but
yeah, so like you know the Archmages Guild, the Archmages robes look really cool, and it's like, I imagine once
actually that enchantment's pretty good.
It is good, yeah. But I imagine once you get to a certain point, it's kind of like there's better things to wear.
Yeah, definitely. And I wish you could get some of the new Dragon Priest enchantments are so freaking awesome, or the masks, but I just don't like wearing Dragon Priest masks.
Yeah, they always look a lot cooler than they end up being. Although, the one that you get from turning in the 12 other standard masks, it's 12, right?
I think it's 12, yeah.
Yeah,
you get the crazy one?
Yeah, the one with the tusks, and it, like, heals you once per day. That saved me on more than one occasion, and it's pretty cool when it happens, because you're like, oh my god, what's going on? I'm still alive.
Yeah, I want to. So when you have a dragon aspect up, it has that chance of proccing like a dragon, a spectral dragon spirit, like summon guy to help you. I want to have that helm on while using that, and then using like the shout to summon like a guy from what's it called? Sovngarde to help you, so you have like a dragon spirit, a dragon priest, and like a undead Viking warrior helping you. I assume they would all work at the same time.
I always thought a really cool thing to add was, I mean, I'm a sucker for customization. I'm the guy who restarts games if my character doesn't look like, if I notice something I don't like about my character 17 hours into a game, I'll start the game again. But sort of like I like that they added the face changer, but it's like, I think they should be there should be like hairdressers and stuff like. I mean, you not necessarily want to change your face, but you might want to change hairstyle, and that should be a viable option without having to pay 1,000. I mean, early gamers quite expensive to pull off. But yeah, but it's like if you're going to the face changer to change your hair, that's not really you changing face. That's just having a haircut. It's kind of like, yeah, it's. You're not having your face
I like
changed,
using it for. You can. It's like that. Those kind of things are really cool because it adds a lot of different things you can do, like RP wise, like your guy ages or grows his hair out or gets
like you said,
bulkier.
You were making your guy bulk up, weren't you? You sort of like, he started off skinny, but then as the game progressed, you were progressively bulking him up. So they did a little stronger.
Yeah, I didn't get him to like steroid levels, but I got him to he was pretty ripped.
Yeah, I tend to keep it on sort of like so I've got like a Nord warrior. I keep him pretty much on the middle range of width, because it just kind of gets ridiculous because of the way the character models look. They look ridiculous past a certain point. They just look insane. It's like no matter how buff your character ends up being, they always have these weird freaking veiny arms, and it's just that's gross.
Well, there was this hilarious bug in Oblivion because Oblivion's character creation system was a fucking disaster, and there was
it was awful.
If you ever played with the beard slider, it didn't actually give you a beard. It like darkened certain parts of your skin.
The face.
Yeah, and so like if you notice, like your facial hair area will get a little darker, but if you looked at your arms, you get these like crazy beef jerky looking red veiny disgusting spawn arms. Like what the fuck? What the hell were they thinking?
That was oh god, that was the worst. The worst. I mean, it was extensive, but it was just the ugliest character creation system ever devised by mankind. Oh, it was awful. Oh, they're just so bloated, and they just look like they all had allergic reactions to something.
I made two great characters with that system. I made a Dunmer with like a bloated fat face and a Super Saiyan mohawk. That the funny thing about brightness in that game is you could make things so bright in their color and saturation and everything that it actually gave off light. So my hair was giving off light, and I made an Argonian who had a cube-shaped head. A cube-shaped head, and he was like fluorescent white. Like, he was as pale as you could get.
I love that as like with the Khajiit in Oblivion. It's just I loved how fat the front of their faces were. So they have like,
yeah, they were.
I imagine they were trying to have like lion heads, and they just end up having these just really fat snouts. And when they're talking, they're just like.
It kind of
so
looked. Khajiit faces in Oblivion looked like some kind of disaster between like a mountain lion and an actual lion.
It's always been fun
look like,
for them to have the animal
they look
normal.
They look like guys in animal suits. They don't actually look like actual cat people. They're just like someone in a cat suit with a really shit mascot head.
But Nas, wouldn't you agree in Skyrim they did such a better job on Khajiit than they ever have. Like, you can make them look so cool.
Oh yeah, I feel like they look. I mean, the fact that they don't look derpy at all is. I mean, you can play it. Seriously.
I had a Khajiit thief at one point, and she looked really cool. So yeah, but yeah, it's like you can do a lot with. You can definitely do a lot more with the tools given to you in Skyrim for characters than you could in Oblivion. In Oblivion, it was a hard enough task just making something that looked normal, let alone good. But in Skyrim, it's sort of like you can only make something look messed up if you really try, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, some of the presets are ugly, but the still speaking of Khajiit a little bit though, and this kind of segues into something else. I'm gonna add like my final question for the podcast. So I was gonna give one of my Khajiits a greasy mustache once because the like Khajiit mustache is like ridiculous, and my girlfriend wouldn't allow me to. And that kind of segues into my next question, or my last question for this podcast, in that I wanted to ask what everybody's favorite follower was. And mine's Jizargo, and I love Jizargo so much, but my girlfriend can't stand him simply because his mustache looks so ridiculous. It like bothers her that much.
That's a good question. But also it speaks to the believability of the programming that she's that bothered by an NPC.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's funny and charming and stuff, and she gets that, but she just sees him say these lines with this like greasy little mustache thing that's it puts her off completely.
I really like Ayla a lot.
Where was he again?
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt.
Jizargo was he was the Khajiit student in the College of Winterhold.
Yeah,
who was totally full of himself.
Yeah, I recognized the name, but I just couldn't place who he was. But yeah, okay, go on.
He one of the funny things he says when you become Archmage is he says something about the Staff of Magnus. He's like, how is it having that? And then he also asks you if the Archmage's robes are comfortable.
Yay.
And so my friend actually gave him both the Staff of Magnus and the Archmage's robes and had him follow him around for a while.
Oh,
granted his wish.
I thought it was an innuendo.
Oh yeah, probably. I mean, Jizargo was a very I wouldn't say sexual, but flirty NPC.
I wouldn't say sexual, but he was sexual.
Oh, it's Jizargo. He's the sexiest NPC.
I love the way Khajiit talk in that game, just the whole third person thing. So like Mike, I loved Mike. Just the stuff he says.
Mike is done talking now.
I hated that. I hated that there was a limit on how much you could talk to him. I just wanted to stand there all day and just keep on talking to him and get random just factoids from him.
Well, the funny thing is like he says I'm done talking now or whatever when he's done talking, and a lot of people I don't understand why the whole arrow in the knee thing exploded, but my personal favorite overly repeated line in the game is whenever you're trespassing and people just like go straight up to your face and go, "You don't belong here. What are you doing here?" Get out. You don't belong. Like,
Yeah.
they just keep going over and over
They
and over
warn
again.
you about 9,000 times before anything happens. I think you should leave. I think you should leave.
I think you should leave.
You don't belong here.
You don't belong
I
here.
think you should leave. Nasrin's like, oh, I wanted to talk about my favourite follower. Daystar interrupted me.
Yeah,
Damn you, Daystar.
Isla. Isla is totally nuts. I like her, though, even though she's crazy.
I like her because she isn't a jerk. I've noticed a lot of the NPCs in the game mouth off to you at various times, and I couldn't handle that kind of insolence considering what I've done for these people. So
Insolence.
well, for example,
Like, not disrespect, insolence.
that's how I feel. For example, the other shield trainer from the Companions Guild, I like her as well, and I've got her as my steward. And every time I come into my own freaking home, she's like, can I help you with something? You know, and you're just like, are you serious? Like, this is my house. Like, why are you being like this to me? So I like Ayla because she doesn't do that.
Yeah, Lydia is like the first follower a lot of people get, and she said, doesn't she say something like, "I'm here to, carry your burdens," like,
And she says it in the most unenthusiastic voice as well. She's like, gotta carry a burden.
Fuck off.
God, I fucking hate this guy.
My most recent character, the steward I got was one of the Dawn Guard chicks, and it's fucking hilarious. Every time I go home, she goes, "For the Dawn Guard! Another victory for the Dawn Guard!" I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? We're not even at the Dawn Guard place. What? The stewards are just, they suffer from very limited AI, I think. And I was very disappointed that you can't get any Khajiit as stewards. Or Argonians, I don't think.
Skyrim's racist.
I know. You can't marry any Bosmer or Khajiit either, which is kind of strange. Bosmer is like the weirdest because they're elves, so you'd think that you'd be able to marry them.
Yeah, they're a lot more common in Skyrim than Khajiit are anyway. Hell, I think they're probably actually the most... After the Dunmer, they're a lot more common than High Elves.
No, I think actually High Elves are more common because of the Thalmor.
Well, the Altmere, yeah.
I just remember when I was doing Hermaeus Mora's quest, it took me forever to find a Bosmer corpse to loot with the blood thing. It was like they're like designated locations that people go to all the time to get it, because you either have to kill a named NPC or like randomly get a bandit Bosmer, which is really rare, I guess.
Oh yeah, you mean the thing we have to get the blood for the elves. There's actually I actually looked it up when I was doing the quest, and there is a specific cave.
There's one dungeon that has like everything.
Yeah, there's one dungeon that has all of them but High Elf, and then there's a High Elf in that mine near Whitewood. Shit, I forgot the fucking name of the city now. This always happens.
I just
near
go to like
place.
the Thalmor Fort. I just go to the Thalmor Fort and just kill one of them.
But yeah, so there's like a place that has all of them. So it has Orc and Bosmer and Dunmer, and then there's a place where they harvest the mammoths, and there's an altar in the pit there that you can use.
Oh yeah, but the pit is like dangerous as hell. If you go in there, you like instantly die.
River something, creek something or other. I'm shit at remembering names.
Well, we have run very long in this podcast. Is there anything else you guys want to like get out of your systems? Maybe Nasrin, because Daystar interrupted you like 500 times.
I'm so sorry.
So sorry. So sorry.
Please don't kill me. I have so much to live for.
Ban him. It'll be funny.
I feel like we covered everything. I talked about my undying love for Serana and how we're starstruck and I'll never find her. I didn't get into all of my broken quests, but that'll just speak for itself. I just for the record, I have about 15 broken quests in my quest log, so that's tough, but I think I got it all off.
See, that would bug me so much. That would be one of the reasons I end up restarting a game, is if I have broken quest lines in my journal. If I have broken quests that I just couldn't complete, I won't be able to deal with it.
my first character, the main quest and companions both broke on my first character. I couldn't finish either. I was so mad. But it was actually kind of funny as like my sister just started playing Skyrim because she has a huge backlog of RPGs. And she actually played Oblivion and then played Morrowind and started Morrowind while Skyrim was already out, and she owned it, but she didn't start playing Skyrim until she was done with Morrowind. And so she just started playing it now, and she's doing the quest for the college where it's a side quest for the female Dunmer student. And she like shoots like a spell at you that turns you green or whatever. Like she just sucks at her job.
A good one. Yeah.
Well, there are two problems with this quest. One, if you have any spell absorption, you can accidentally absorb the spell and break the quest. And two, sometimes she can miss you. And so my sister, I was in the room and my sister was doing this quest, and she missed my sister by like a mile, like just didn't hit her at all with the spell. And my sister laughed about it. She's like, "Oh, she missed." And I was like, "Oh man, that sucks." And I didn't elaborate at all, and she didn't take that as you should reload, because I was only half paying attention. And so she just like went and did other stuff, came back like 5 game hours later, and she was like, "Is it broken?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Why didn't you tell me?" I'm like, "Oh, I thought I was clear about that, but I guess not." Whoops.
Yeah. I don't know. If I'm going to be really, really nitpicky about the game, the one thing that bugs me about Skyrim is the dragon shouts.
Are you
don't
bugged about
sound
bugs?
like I want them to. Not bugs. No, not this. Just this. The fact that Fuss Rodar isn't what I want it to sound like. It's not like it is in the trailer. It's like, instead of being Fuss Rodar, it's Fuss Rodar. It's like, it's just not said the way I want it to be said.
Well, I'm sorry, Daystar. The developers can't tailor all of their dragon shouts to be to your specific cup of tea.
No, that's what I mean. If I'm being really nitpicky, that's just one of the things that really bugs me.
Maybe you should ask to let you record Fusroda for them.
So put this way, I'm not going to get to the point where I'm just going to boycott the game because the sound files don't work out the way I should. I hate this game, man. This is the worst game ever. The shouts don't sound like one of them.
I'm sure people have complained about lesser things on the Bethesda forums before.
What is it? I think there was a massive outrage over the fact that you couldn't marry Serana. Everyone was like,
so many people were pissed about it. There was like a petition and everything. And I'm like, for some reason I like Serana a lot, but I was like, oh, I can't marry her? Okay, I don't care. Is like, she'd get 2 dialogue options. One of them would be,
that's what I mean.
"Oh, you're back from some adventure, I think, and this is something to share, my love," and that would be it. It'd be the same
marrying her would
otherwise
actually ruin the character, in the sense that she's done all this stuff with it, and then she just ends up getting reduced to just an NPC who doesn't do anything.
They wrote an article sort of about that on the Escapist actually recently, and it was about basically having a failed marriage in Skyrim and just talking about what it was like interacting with your Skyrim wife as if it was like a real marriage, and just how like you don't talk about anything, it's just straight to business, like
you're off away on some adventure for like 8 months, and you come back and she is like completely like she didn't miss you at all. Just back from some adventure. Okay, here's your 800 gold and a pie.
Pretty much.
I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah. I'm gonna go to bed and get my my lover's bonus, unless you're a werewolf, get shit.
You just roll around in bed all night, scratching yourself or something.
I can't help wonder why they added that. Why did they add that? Like, it's just like they were just like, they had to, there needs to be a downside for this, and as an afterthought they went, oh, I get it, you guys can never get resting bonuses for sleep. Like, it was something that made a big deal in the first place.
Yeah, the main thing the main benefit of being a werewolf, besides just turning into a werewolf, is just being immune to disease, which is pretty nice.
I think a good thing they could have added for that is silver weapons. I know they have silver weapons in it, but it's only pretty much used exclusively by the Silver Hand, and then they pretty much disappear after the quest line for the companions. But it's like, if you're a werewolf, it should be there should be a very realistic chance of running into people who have silver weaponry, or just hunters in general who could do that and could do some serious damage to you as a werewolf. I mean, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. I was actually kind of... The thing that bothers me about the companions is the Silver Hand, because it's like they're the one enemy in the game that is not elaborated on or even explored in any way, shape, or form. It's just like, we're the companions. We are mercenaries that fight for glory, and we're also werewolves for some reason. And then they're like, the Silverhand hate us and want to hunt us, but we won't give a reason why. We won't ever find out anything about these people other than they're assholes who put werewolf heads on spikes.
So we kill them, and then we never hear from them again.
I mean, that's a pretty dick move, in my opinion, if you just have some people that are systematically trying to make your people extinct.
What doesn't make any sense to me, though, is why do you find decapitated werewolf heads and corpses if they're supposed to de-transform when they die? Like, the werebears de-transform when they die.
So, like, there's like in one of the companion questlines, like when you first turn into a werewolf, when you raid a Silverhand fortress, there's a werewolf in a cage. And I'm thinking, you know what would happen if I sort of just wait here a couple of days? Nope, still a werewolf. It's like, when do you transform by?
There's a really funny bug connected to that quest where Skjorn will randomly come back to life, and there's no explanation as to why. Like, you'll just find him at the companions hangout, like hanging out with everybody else, talking to them, having conversations, and nobody is like questioning the fact that he's supposed to be dead.
Lovely, lovely Skyrim bugs. Won't be Elder Scrolls without horrible game-breaking bugs.
And on that note...
Yeah, I assume everybody's gotten everything out of their system, and Skyrim is... We don't need to talk about Skyrim for a while.
No, it's going to be Walking Dead next. I can see it.
Oh Jesus! There's so much. I've been struggling so hard not to say anything about that game this episode.
I only completed the second episode, and it's just it's so good. I wasn't expecting it to be as great as it was, but it's fucking brilliant.
All right, guys.
I was just going to end up talking about Walking Dead for about 10 hours.
Oh, I know,
It's
right?
never going to finish.
Well, I work a lot, so this is one of my days off.
Yeah.
You
just said you work a lot,
get
but
back
then
to
you
your
just
vacation.
said that there's a bit where you just like in the middle of the working day, you went, "Hey guys, there's nothing to do. We're going to play Skyrim."
Oh, I didn't say there was nothing to do. I said, is someone currently using the Xbox? I ate a sandwich just now. That's
Now
not
we're
the
gonna
same
go
thing.
I ate my sandwich really fast, so I had enough time to play some
That's
Skyrim before my
exactly
lunch
what I
break
was
is
trying to
over.
pull.
The fact that that's a choice, I mean, you should have the best job in the world.
Oh, I
Like,
don't disagree.
I'm going to play some Skyrim.
It is a job that requires a lot of time, so...
Oh, I'm sure. Well, you also have to deal with, mod stuff
R&P.
that mods do, and that's only 10% of your job, I think, right?
Yep.
And that can't be fun.
Yep.
I think it's only supposed to be 10% of the job, but it ends up taking up a lot more than that.
That is exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is. Because to do it well, it requires time. But anyway, I'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah. Yeah, I will thank Nasrin for coming while she's on vacation, taking time off from Skyrim and Netflix and cats or whatever.
Man, you just hit all the high points.
Taking breaks from the things she loves. Oh, it
And
must be
beer,
so
I think
terrible.
you're drinking a beer right now or something, right?
Or I was. That was 2 hours ago.
It's just warm
Yeah,
now.
I finished
No one
my
wants to drink
juice about that time ago, too. And Daystar, thank you for staying up until... What time is it over there right now?
It is it's just about to hit 10 to 3 in the morning.
Oh, Jesus
And
Christ.
you still have the energy
Anybody
to interrupt
else?
me all the time.
I know,
I
right?
don't do it on purpose. It's this damn delay.
No, it's just Daystar.
Insolent.
Yeah, I just don't like people.
Tearing me apart, Daystar. Okay, so
I like being
thanks,
the center of attention.
I'll talk to you guys
thanks
later.
everybody for coming, and play more Skyrim. So may the Skyrim be with you.
Yes, and make you
Oh, that was lame.
Alright. It's going.
Nasrin didn't say it.
Oh, I was supposed to
Six
say it? I
rolls,
thought we were
six
just
rolls.
supposed to start.
I think she died.
I thought we were just supposed to start on that count. I didn't realize we were all chiming in together.
You're supposed to say screen roll.
Alright, we'll do it again really fast. 4, 3,
God
2,
damn it.
1. Sweet rolls.
Sweet roll.
Screen roll.
There we go. We're synced up now. Fizz will figure it out. She'll fix her terrible mistakes.